Hi everybody, welcome back. It's almost Christmas. I've got my bow in and everything now. I mean business. So yesterday I went and finished off my Christmas shopping, bar one of two things, and I saw something for my mum and I fell in love with it and I loved it so much I went back and bought one for me. Little snowmen. How cute are they? This one's going to my mum because those of you that are long-term subscribers know that my mum's house is Santa's grotto and she's got a nice little display of animals that all look up under the tree on her fake snowbed, and I think he'll sit there perfectly looking up at her festive tree. And then this one's just for me. I've now got to find somewhere I can hide him where the husband doesn't notice that I've bought something else new for Christmas. Hey, it's all in the Christmas spirit though. So let's talk about the royals, and let's talk about there seems to be an issue with at least one brother every generation in that Windsor family. Of course, we've got Prince Edward, and then we've got the dramas with Harry, both married American divorcees. Now, obviously, Prince Edward was a lot more important because, he was the king, he abdicated. Harry is, well, insignificant, really. And obviously, they brought their own dramas and troubles and heartbreak to the royal family as well. So it was certainly not, I would say, that Harry did something equally as bad, but it was bad equally, but just in a different way. And then, of course, we got Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew is yet again in trouble for his friendships and associations with people. Now he's got himself in a spot of bother and a national security risk because he's been hanging around with a Chinese spy. Now, he's not the only high-profile person, and of course everybody uses Andrew because obviously it makes the headlines bigger, doesn't it? And it has everybody, no doubt including the king, rolling their eyes going, why? Why again? Why my brother? Why indeed, Charles? Well, I believe it's because Andrew is as arrogant as his nephew. I believe they're cut from the same cloth. I also believe that when people tell Andrew, this is a bad idea. Andrew, you need to terminate this friendship. He goes, you can't tell me what to do. I'm going to continue down this path. And then when it all blows up, Andrew is then no doubt, probably like Harry, blaming other people or going, I didn't know, it wasn't my fault, like my last video. But this is the problem. It's not the fact that this is just Andrew getting himself into trouble. He is the king's brother. Now, of course, this time of year is when the royal family all get together for lots of little public events. And the king was rumoured to have not been happy about Andrew coming. It's not to punish him, but on a public's perspective, with all of the trouble that Andrew seems hell-bent of getting himself into, now obviously a risk to national security, if Andrew is photographed going into one of these big engagements like the Christmas Day walk, it looks like the royal family are supporting him, and Andrew is very much on the naughty step. Now, whilst personally the church walk, I have no problem with Andrew going to that because it's church, it's Christmas, it's his family, but I can see how it can look bad, and it looks like the other royals are also supporting Andrew and his choices, which is very clearly obvious they are not. But Andrew's got himself into trouble here. I know, shock of it, because his refusal and his arrogance to move out of that huge mansion, Royal Lodge, he just refused. It became public, so then people were going, well, if the king's cut off his finances, how is Andrew affording the upkeep of that place, all of the staff? Why is Andrew digging his heels in? So now it looks like, well, he's been hanging around with people, no doubt another cash for access sort of issue. This is the biggest problem with Andrew, and even Fergie has fallen foul to this herself. They like freebies, and lots of people all around the world are more than happy as Meghan and Harry have snapped up themselves freebies, but do not think for a second that they do not want something in return. And maybe Andrew was completely oblivious how much of a national security risk he was being. You don't know if he told this person anything or he said absolutely nothing of use. But the point is, Andrew does definitely get himself in these situations, and it is an embarrassment for the king. Now, Andrew, of course, was determined that he was still going to come because, much like his nephew, he's done nothing wrong. It's someone else's fault. But Fergie was the voice of reason. Who'd have thought it? I'm certain that Prince Philip certainly would never have thought that day would ever come. But yes, she's the one that managed to talk Andrew down and say, look, it's better. We'll have private celebrations, quiet celebrations by ourselves. And I'm sure the king and other members of the royal family will still see Andrew. It's just not done on such a public stage, I suppose. Now, moving away from Prince Andrew and the problem brothers, let's talk about everybody's favourite brother, Prince William. Prince William's latest victory centres around his campaigning to stop the illegal wildlife trade. He has spent many years highlighting the seriousness of the organised crime surrounding the movement of animals and animal products from country to country. United for Wildlife was created by the Royal Foundation back in 2013 to help protect endangered species from the trade, which is now worth up to 20 billion a year. Countries work together, cross-sector collaborations to stop the traffickers from being able to profit from, to be able to finance and to transport the wildlife products. Now, it's not just animal products, and don't worry, I'm not going to show you photographs of it. I mean, it's horrific and it upsets me. You guys know I'm a complete animal lover, but it's the pet trade as well, not helped by social media accounts that love showing off people having exotic pets. The trends on Instagram making your pet more popular and getting 1 million views has unfortunately added more fuel to the fire with people wanting to get themselves cute and exotic pets. But this is where Prince William's victory comes in and has saved the day. Well, rather, it saved over 1,000 endangered tortoises and lemurs who have been successfully returned to Madagascar on the 12th of December in one of the world's biggest stings of this nature. The operation was coordinated by Thai authorities, United Nations Drug and Crime Unit, US Fish and Wildlife Services, and the Wildlife Justice Commission alongside the United for Wildlife Taskforce. This also led to arrests in Thailand and Madagascar. Yes. That is an incredible collaboration between organisations working together across many countries all around the world. Prince William doesn't just talk the talk, he walks the walk, as I've said many times before. He spends hours and hours, month after month, year after year, working on his projects with teams of people. I'm not saying Prince William does this all by himself, of course I'm not. But this is why with all of his projects, we see genuine results. And results like this make me super, super happy. And the difference could not be more apparent between what he actually does and what he talks about compared to his younger brother, who, let's be honest, does little more than show up for photo opportunities, a quick bit of PR, no doubt a paid speech, and spouts lots of pointless platitudes to an audience that look like that they would rather be somewhere else. And that's if the audience are even there. Harry doesn't exactly fill the rooms these days. Now, of course, it's been well documented how little effort Harry and Meghan actually put into their projects. The bare minimum, that's why they always fail. Harry and Meghan are like toddlers. They're on to the next shiny new thing before they've even finished the last shiny new thing. So whilst lots more people are queuing up to sign up to any of Prince William's projects and initiatives, people are falling over themselves to leave any of Harry and Meghan's projects or organisations that they're affiliated with. Yet more staff have quit the charity Centre Bali, which means Forget Me Not, which was set up in 2006 by Prince Harry and Prince Siso of Lesotho. The CEO of the organisation, Richard Miller, has quit, and in his resignation statement he said, "The time is right for this to shift to local leadership, and it's the logical next step." Now, of course, people change jobs all of the time. You know, people work their way up. But when you think these people are pretty much at the top and they quit at such short notice, it of course raises eyebrows, especially in a case with Dominic Reed with the Invictus Games. He didn't actually have a replacement lined up, nor did Josh Kettler, who was their chief of staff. But it's not just the CEO of Centre Bali quitting that has raised eyebrows with this organisation, because a month ago, one of Harry's last remaining friends, an Andrew Tucker, has also stepped down after a decade of working for the charity, which was set up to help vulnerable children in Lesotho. And they're not the only two, because it was only a year ago that another chief executive quit, a Johnny Hornby, and then even in October this year, Linda Chalker, who'd been a director for 18 years, also resigned. Now, obviously, that's quite a lot of people to quit, high up people as well, in quick succession, especially working for the organisation for a number of years. So, of course, eyebrows are raised. I also can't help but think about what Richard Miller said about the time is right to now hand it over to local leadership. Perhaps there's more going on. Perhaps Prince Ciso has said something to Harry, because when he had his most recent escape from Meghan, when he was in New York for a week and then he flew over to Lesotho and then he went to South Africa and people weren't quite sure where he was, and then he appeared a couple of weeks later on a surfboard. Well, when he was around the campfire, it was a Centre Bali meeting and they were talking to Harry about the organisation, and Harry looked absolutely miserable. And it makes me wonder, have Centre Bali turned around and said, look, it's better if this is run in-house in Lesotho by our people now? Because Harry has done very little for the organisation. He's possibly promoted it more than anything else. Obviously, we had a lot of the charity polo matches that he's done with Nacho. And Harry also said that he was making a big donation from his book Spare, if you remember. Nobody actually knows if that donation was ever made. The fact that there was no press announcement about it, I'm not so sure that they did. But perhaps the lack of donations is also causing a problem. There have long been rumours that donations have been drying up since Harry's departure from the royal family, and of course the war that he waged against his family. Meghan and Harry are very, very toxic. They're not just a box office bomb. They're toxic with any organisation that they're affiliated to. Anything that Meghan signs herself up to, people are now trying to find skeletons in that organisation's closets. And that's not what people want. And then people that had previously donated to Invictus Games, they don't want to be donating money to be spent on frivolous things such as Meghan's wardrobe and Harry's travel expenses. It wouldn't surprise me if Centre Bali and Prince Ciso have turned around and said, look, perhaps we should handle it because you're not really helping this organisation anymore. That's just a theory, but it is funny that you're seeing so many high-profile people from Harry's side quitting or resigning or being asked to move along. Now for my final story, well, this one is less of a story and it's more of something that I do not believe. The newspapers, media outlets started running the story that Catherine is going to be reaching out to Meghan with, dun dun dun, an olive branch this Christmas. This has been fueled by an ex-royal butler. No, strangely, not Paul Burrell for a change. No, this is another ex-royal butler who has decided to speak to GB News. In his interview, he said that Catherine could, and I say could, be the one to reunite the family, and he believes that Catherine will be making a phone call to Meghan. And I'm sorry, I do not believe that for one moment. After everything that Meghan has done to Catherine and William didn't even walk behind the Queen on the last Commonwealth service that Harry and Meghan were there because Harry and Meghan threw a tantrum that they weren't going to be walking. So Catherine and William had to go sit down to pacify the children. In fact, William and Catherine have done a lot of pacification of Harry and Meghan when they were part, briefly, of the royal working mechanism. They caused more problems than anything. But it's the accusations that Meghan and Harry have levelled at Catherine. You know, I know it sounds so petty, but, you know, using her lip gloss and not giving her a lift into town. These are only small, minor things and they're rather pathetic. But Meghan and Harry have stayed silent as Catherine has been named as the royal racist. There's been so many awful, vile things written about Catherine because of those accusations. Harry and Meghan let that continue. They've allowed Omid Scobie to kick it up again by remaining completely silent. Then, of course, the biggest thing that Meghan did to Catherine was she sat there on Oprah's stage and she said that Catherine was the one that made her cry. I'm sorry, I do not believe that for 1 second. Meghan has a history of being horrible before she got with Harry, when she was working on Suits, when she's done adverts. Meghan has got a horrible history of being completely nasty to people. And now all of a sudden, we're expected to believe that Catherine was nasty to Meghan over her own daughter, Princess Charlotte's bridesmaid dress, which was a mess. I do not believe that story. But could you imagine Catherine sitting there watching all of these allegations, knowing that you can't do anything about it, and watching Meghan sitting there with her black charcoal makeup, fluttering her eyelashes, saying, Catherine was the one that was mean to me, knowing all the while that she was the one that was vile to you, vile to your family, vile to your daughter, vile to the Queen and Prince Philip. Remember, the royals know everything that Meghan and Harry did behind the scenes, and I think we've only had snippets of the true behaviour that went on. So as for this story being real, that Catherine's just going to be dialing up Meghan saying, oh, hi Meghan, in the Christmas spirit, come on over, bring a bottle of wine, bring the kids round, it'll be lovely. I think there's more chance of Prince Andrew streaking naked up the Sandringham Day Christmas walk wearing nothing but a Chinese flag. In fact, to be fair, perhaps there's more chance of that happening. What a lovely image to end the video on. Ta-ta for now.